I'm a little late to the game on this, but I just watched a documentary on Amazon Prime or Prime or Prime Video from several years ago called Carol Doda Topless at the Condor. Now, I had heard of Carol Doda because I'm a huge Monkees fan, and she has a cameo appearance in their movie from 1968 called Head, and I had to look up at the time because they made a big deal that she was in this film, and she was, a blonde, overly abundant female, scantily clad to some degree in that film, and I had to look up who she was, and she was famous for being a topless dancer and having silicone injections to increase her shadow casting overhang. So I've always known who she was relatively, but I'd heard about this documentary that came out a few years ago. I really wanted to watch it. And my rare occasion of scrolling through Prime, I saw that it was there for free, or for free if you're free with your paid subscription, as they used to say about the Sports Illustrated shoe phone. So I watched it the other night, and it's really good. It's really good. It utilizes an insane amount of vintage news footage of Carol Doda and footage that was filmed inside the Condor Club. Basically, the scenario is this. Carol Doda was a cocktail waitress at a nightclub in San Francisco, and she eventually became a go-go dancer, and she eventually became a topless dancer, and it really started the whole topless nude dancing craze in San Francisco and maybe in other parts of the country too. So it's she was a trailblazer. She was to some people a feminist icon, despite what you might think for somebody who is known for just shaking it. And it's a fascinating film. It's, as I said, I'm a fan of documentaries. I'm a fan of documentaries. I'm a fan of documentaries that utilize original footage, accurately utilize original footage, that don't rely on reenactments, that don't rely on manipulating footage to make it fit the narrative or fit the narrative in terms of the timeline. This does not seem to do that. She was such a sensation. So many people interviewed her, whether it was audio or film or video or what have you. And what's interesting to me, and this is going to sound much cruder than I intended to. So she was known as being bountiful in the bosom due to silicone injections, which were later found to be really not healthy. And what I didn't, again, sounds really crude, but I'm going to say, you get to see her pre-injection in the film, which it's interesting just from a physical point of view and just from how the human body can be altered point of view. I didn't realize there was any footage of her at that point, but I think her starting to do topless dancing was such a big deal at the time. The fact that they allowed news cameras in there to record it is amazing to me, because where are they going to show it? Unless it was for foreign TV, they couldn't show that on TV at the time. I don't know why it was recorded at the time, but it's very fascinating to me that they do. And you see her, get to her final stage. They talked to a lot of women who were also dancers. Carol Doda passed away, unfortunately, before this film was made. They talked to a lot of other dancers who were like her competition at the time, and they talked about the police raids and how they were treated, and how they decided why they decided to make the move to do that for a living, and what kind of a living it gave them, and what the trade-offs were. The upside, a lot of money and notoriety. The downside being a pariah and really treated not well by a lot of people. So fascinating story. It's based on a book to some degree that was about her and that specific club, which was this iconic club in San Fran. And they really get into all kinds of things, like how the street changed, how it went from classy nightclubs to topless clubs to nude clubs to porn shops to it really, the tone of that whole area changed and got sketchy and kind of crude, whereas in the beginning it was kind of a classy thing. They were classy to a degree thing that they were doing. You had a lot of people, the former owners of that club and other clubs, talking about how changing in ownership and how some nefarious entities came into the area. You have a lot about who Carol Doda really was, how much of herself she actually allowed anybody to know about or allowed out in her public persona, and how she tried to move beyond being that topless dancer, and how successful that was to try to be something more than just a pair of shaken tassels minus the tassels. So very interesting, ultimately kind of sad movie, but from a cultural archaeology point of view, very interesting. From a 60s point of view, very interesting. From a feminism, sexual revolution point of view, from the point of view for me too, just on a technical level, of the amazing quantity and quality of footage that was found, and how you get to see the brain behind the bosoms to a degree. So I thought this was really good. Hopefully this is something that you can access if you find this interesting. Available on Prime. I think it's got a physical media release too. Carol DODA, Topless at the Condor.